Within this game, there are depictions of physical and emotional abuse, animal death, gore, blood, body horror, verbal homophobia, verbal misogyny, and verbal sexism. There are descriptions of physical and emotional abuse, suicidal thoughts, animal death, gore, blood, body horror, religious trauma, homophobia, misogyny, sexism, pregnancy, and fratricide. Any opinions provided by characters in this game do not reflect those of the developer and the publisher of Runt. Hold down spacebar to fast forward through dialogue. Dialogue choices cannot be skipped while fast forwarding. I don't know how many times I've written this. I feel like I'm running out of pages. But each time I think about what happened that week, I remember more and more until it becomes this big puzzle of details that just don't fit right. I'm gonna start over right from the beginning. My name is Runt. Me and my brothers live out near Skipclaw on the perimeter right where the land meets the forest. There are 5 of us: Hunter, Tanner, Carver, Fisher, and me. I was 9 when it all happened. All I ever heard was that the big power station over in Crenshaw blew up, and when the smoke filled the air, it never left. All connections and wired shit like that never got up and running again. It's black and gray every day since that power station blew up. It's black and gray everywhere as far as anyone knows. Stars don't even show at night. We almost starved that first year. Nobody ever came for us out here in Skipclaw. No army, no government, and food won't grow easy in a world like this. Animals don't like it too much either. There's a rift in the world now, crack in reality. Dad would have known what to do. He always said there was a war out there. That's why he was hard on us. There's going to be a war someday between the righteous and the unrighteous. A war for our souls. He was doing his best. Dad always said he was a righteous man in a world full of sickness and perversion. He preached a while down south until most of his flock turned away from the truth God had given him. It was too hard for him, I guess. God demands a lot. He demands a lot so he can give a lot. Dad was the mouth of God. He could whip a crowd into a frenzy like nothing, crying and dropping on the floor, speaking in tongues the way God wanted him to. Show him that he was there and he was real and Dad was the mouth of God. It was too much for those of little faith. Dad left taking a bit of land on the outskirts of Skipclaw where he was going to prepare us for the war and the end of time. He started saying we didn't need the town. We were better off without the world. He said evil came in through the radio and the TV stations, and the bags of chicken feed, and the starter potatoes, and the seeds, and all their friends we made. All we really needed was each other and our faith. If things were hard, God wanted them to be hard. If we were unhappy, it's because we weren't right with God, because we had tainted the earth with our sins. Dad did what he could, but he wasn't trained to run our little outpost at the edge of the wilderness. He had been a juvie warden during seminary. He picked up a few things, knew a few guys who built us a bunker and filled it with enough rations to keep us going for a few years. Everything else we had was books, copies and copies and copies of Dad's teachings he had printed on his own dime. His own dime, he used to say, red in the face because no one wanted them, because no one was ready to open their hearts to God enough to buy one. Those were the first things I ever learned to read. I didn't even know picture books were a thing till I was too old to read them. We failed Dad, all of us, and he punished us the way you'd punish a grown man. We starved and froze and dried out in the heat, slept short hours, up at the crack of dawn till so late at night you couldn't stand on your own 2 feet anymore. No matter how tired or thin we got, we did our work. We had to survive the tests, the never-ending tests. And then Dad got sick. He had a disease whose name I think Hunter knows, but I forgot. He needed shots. When the world went up in a bunch of black smoke, all the medicine went with it. Not that Dad had believed any of it before. He couldn't really ever trust what the government was doing. That medicine he needed, somehow he found some. He took it religiously. And when we ran out, that was it. One day he was alive, and one day he wasn't. He died after years of wasting away right when he was needed most, when the world with its apocalypse proved him right. Of course, we had to go back into the town then. We needed them. They needed us too, it seemed. Hunter fixed it all up. 5 of us strong boys with enough guns and ammo for a small army became the army of Skipclaw. We patrolled, we policed, we hunted, and we maintained the perimeter. Nobody comes and goes without Hunter knowing about it. No one goes out at night without Hunter knowing about it. Nobody so much as sneezed without Hunter's permission. Hunter's word was law. The whole town was ours, and it thrived as best as it could under the unbearable weight of an endless blackened sky. Would Dad be proud? I guess it doesn't matter now. Dad was gone, Mom died giving birth to me, and none of us knew what to feel. We were on our own. It was 5 years to the day of his death when everything changed, all because of what we saw in the church. Runt. Runt, get up. You better be moving by the time I get there. Get up, quit hiding. Carver stood over me. I couldn't see his face, but just knew he was sneering at me. I'm up. You scribbling in your little diary again? Kinda girly, ain't it? Is he up? He's up, writing his damn little book again. Ready to go, Runt? No lollygagging now. I said I was up. Are we back talking now? Carver, we don't have time. Not my fault we're late. Runt been hiding from us again. Can't sniff me out anymore under that thing. Don't you get lippy with me. I'll knock you upside the head, and I'll throw your bed out the pond. You hear me? What y'all squabbling about? We're just talking to Runt. He says he's ready. I can speak for myself, you know. Yeah, you weren't speaking earlier, were you? It was the anniversary of Dad's death, on a Sunday no less. We were going to the church. We call it church, but it really is just a rickety old storehouse we fixed up to serve something holy. Really don't want to go. Carver, that he was right. I had been hiding, foolish as it was. I hoped that they wouldn't find me. I wanted to see their flashlights sweeping past the windows, hear them calling out my name before giving up and going on without me. One of them would unload on me, probably Hunter, but at least I wouldn't be in that church. That's why I was Runt, the little guy, the weak guy, the one hiding under the bed from the switch. They always found me because I still hadn't learned that lesson. I had to get my stuff packed before I went. As I stood up from my little nook between the kitchen and the basement, I saw my backpack had spilled everywhere. All my things were scattered across the floor. I knew it was Carver. Luckily, I had my flashlight. To pick up items, search the environment with your flashlight. You'll often need to dig through a lot of trash or clutter to find exactly what you need. When you find what you're looking for, click on it to add it to your bag. My journal, a radio, map, paper with the code. That's the journal. Yep. Radio. Paper with the code. Yep. I had to sort my stuff out, make sure it was all in the best spot to grab. Remember checking my bag. You can examine items in your inventory by hovering over their icons. Giving items a closer look can help with puzzles and requests. Your inventory can be opened by clicking on your bag. You cannot open your inventory while in dialogue. All the items you collected can be examined here in your bag, but for now, let's get your radio and journal ready. Click on each of them to place them permanently on your HUD. When you're done looking around your bag, click the strap at the bottom left and close it. Journal and radio. On your radio to switch it on and off. Radio only plays music, which changes depending on where you are and who you're talking to. Check out the journal. Your journal is where you keep track of your thoughts, feelings, and your to-do list. Scribble notes on your changing feelings and your to-do list can both be found on the Me page, while the rest of the journal contains everything else. Whenever you see a red swirl in the upper right-hand corner of the screen, something important has been added to your journal. Below your Me page is your mind map. This mind map will automatically collect and connect key pieces of info during conversations and display how they relate to each other, if at all. You'll get a new mind map each day to help track of evolving leads as the week progresses. When you're done checking out your journal, head out to meet your brothers, but be quick about it, they aren't that patient. Click on the hand on the bottom left to close your journal. Ain't much to do right now. I feel irritated I can't put my finger on it. Did my shift by myself today. Everyone had to prepare for Dad's, I don't know what you call it, funeral. It's like we are reburying him over and over again. We need to head to the church to honor Dad. I hope it goes quick. My brother Tanner, the second oldest, real quiet, real hard to read. Follows Carver around like a dog, though I don't understand why. Those two couldn't be more different if you tried. Middle Strayer. A mouthy, always fighting, wisecracking, and trying to start stuff. Likes making my life as miserable as possible. One day I'll land a punch. My brother Fisher, just a few years older than me, whip smart and with an iron faith in Dad's teachings. I get the feeling that he didn't like us too much given how much time he spends in the hydro station. What's this? No townies yet, no creatures yet. There's no sense in waiting. I had put it off long enough. Got my things in my backpack and went out the door of our house. Oh, maybe I should have moved my camera. Hold on. Okay, there we go. Everyone was waiting for me. Took you long enough. You did this last year. What's your problem? I stayed silent. There wasn't anything I could say. No answer. No reason was ever enough. Cat's got his tongue like usual. Too good to be talking to us. We got everything. Waiting on Hunter now. He was scoping. Make sure the path's clear. No outsiders come around today. The schedule was set. No patrol for any of us today. Except Runt. He should have done one. I had done one. Crack of dawn, shivering along the perimeter before the sun attempted its daily battle to break through the clouds. Was he being truthful? Did anyone see him? I tried being quiet. You think he's a liar, Carver? Well, he wasn't being real forthcoming earlier, was he? But he got halfway around the fence and took a load off under some sycamore. Tried to be quiet. Really, I did. Carver, don't be saying stuff now. Come to think of it, you was also missing all yesterday. Tell the truth, Runt. Was you jerking it under some bush? Key points and conversations throughout the game, you get to decide what Runt will say. Some of the dialogue choices you make will alter your personality and can change how certain characters react to you. Hints as to how your personality is shifting inside of you as the result of your choice can be seen on the Me page in your journal. Tell the truth, Runt. Was you jerking it under some bush? Check the log sheet. I ain't a flaker. Yeah, I'll be checking. Don't think for a second. I ain't on you 24/7. You hear me? Runt. Ooh. We fell silent, standing in our little half circle around Hunter. He towered over us, bearskins draped over his big frame, making him even bigger than he actually was. We were all on edge. See, Hunter was in a black mood. Had been for a few days at this point. It was like his shadow that swallowed all the light around him, half hiding him against the prairie grass. You could feel it even before he got close to you, this horrible heaviness, heated only by the weight of his big old bearskin cloak. See, Hunter had a dog named River, a shaggy, vicious thing that snapped at anyone that wasn't Hunter. I couldn't tell you what kind of dog it was, some sort of mutt that I swore was part wolf. Those two loved each other more than anything, certainly more than Hunter ever loved us. He never hit River, not once. He would have liked us better if we were all his dogs, loyal, silent, and obedient without even the ability to question his command. But River had died a few days ago. Hunter didn't say much else on it, not how or why or when, but only that River died. Kept the mutt hidden away, not letting any of us get close to it. I could only take his word that River had passed. None of us had the words to comfort each other. I was silent when he told me, standing stone still among the chickens in the yard that early morning. No doubt everyone else was the same. The black mood in the days that followed River's death built like wood heaped in an invisible fire. That silent heat rippled around us as we stood before him. I wish I could say I had pity for him, for River to die and then having to deal with Dad's anniversary right after, but I think I was scared more than anything. All this heat had to go somewhere. Well, God help who it struck. Ready. He turned towards us, face black under the teeth of his hood. I nodded. We all nodded. We were waiting for Runt. He was hiding. It wasn't hiding. How many times do I gotta say it? Enough. His hand was on my shoulder, even through my jacket. Through his gloves, I could feel his strength, his power, them fingers dug in tight. Let's go. Runt, take point. I knew my brothers were sneering under their masks. Taking point was not something to be proud of. It was the first line of defense if we got attacked. First wall of meat. They all started gathering their things. Little things we would bring to leave in Dad's memory. His sermon book, his pamphlet, some candles. He ain't got no body or grave. We had to burn him so it wouldn't attract them. It became a tradition that we'd all take a little trinket or something, and that would be Dad, his presence, his spirit. We were always finding bits of him everywhere at home. Like somehow in his death, his ghost had come home and I don't know, melded to the house. His hair, his clothes, his writing, every nook and cranny, he was there, always watching us like he never left. Runt. Yes. Let's bug out. Now. It was a bad idea to keep him waiting any longer. Your map is in the lower right-hand corner near your bag. You'll use your map to move around, skip claw, and see the lay of the land. For now, open your map and head to the church. Church. Oh. With each step, my feet got heavy. I was stomping on sticks and dry grass and getting cuffed at the back of the head by Carver when I slowed down. Nobody said anything, but each time I lagged, I could feel the heat of their eyes on my neck. It was squishy. Hunter halted, raised a hand. Stop. Down. We dropped. We didn't disobey, not in this world. Hesitation got killed. 9 o'clock. There, just beyond the top of the fence. We lay on the crest of the hill looking down into a shallow, dry gulch. We shuffled in the grass, positioning ourselves just beneath the brush. We smelled it before we saw it, that thick, acrid, musky scent. There it was. We have all sorts of names for them. Hunter calls them the unholy. Tanner and Fisher call them lung dogs, along with most of the town. Carver calls them those. To me, they're always twisters. By twisters, well, how else are you supposed to get their head off? You'd always hear them if they were close, them big sacks pressing out air, wheezing and breathing and gurgling, sounding like death rattles. Even more than their breathing, I hate their eyes, how they never seem to blink. Even before I knew all that they could do, I wanted to put a bullet in their skulls just for those lids to finally drop and quit staring at me. They appeared after the blackout, pouring in from some unknown place for some unknown purpose. Something more than animal, less than human. We had our rifles, but they had the dark. The never-ending dark. I tried to focus. Nothing good comes from daydreaming on a battlefield. We watched as it swayed in the field, us hiding low in the grass. Hunter prepped his rifle and waited. Typically, we aimed to engage and scare them off as quickly as possible, but a wasted bullet is a wasted bullet. As we crouched there, I felt a hand bump mine, knocking my flashlight. Couldn't tell you who, but my gut says it was Carver. I couldn't move quick enough. My flashlight blasted on over the fence and out across the field. Ooh. Stop talking. We all stilled at Hunter's heavy commanding. I'll beat you if you so much as breathe tone, and I was all too familiar with. The beam caught the twister as it tore and mawed at some creature. We watched, unable to look away. The sounds carried over the prairie, wet and sinewy, and echoed in the cold. In the dark grass, I felt a firm hand paw around towards mine. It took my flashlight and went to flick it off. As it did, the sound of the beam powering off cracked into the night. Twister looked up. Ooh. It was near black in the field, Twister a liquid shadow against the grass. Hunter lifted his gun. Twister twitched. And disappeared quick as it came. We waited, breathing low against the swaying grass. When it didn't return, we slowly stood up and kept on. A jab in my back from someone's gun urged me back to the front. Felt like I was marching to my doom, which if I think on it, I guess I was. Never got over how the church looked that night. The way the water had seeped from the window to look like tear stains from a weeping eye, like it was living and felt bad nobody was coming to it no more. After Dad passed, service slowed. Nobody could take on his work. Nobody had his speech, his tongue, his way of moving. He could make you believe in miracles. He could make you believe in anything. He was an unstoppable force, like a tornado or a hurricane. You could feel the emptiness in that church when he died, like all the air went out the room. Nobody took over, not even Hunter. It was locked up. All the faithfuls had died before him anyway, or left to skip claw after he died. We used it occasionally for important days like today, or for meetings if things ever got bad. We were here the day the blackout happened, bright 1 second and black the second after. I hid under pews while people scrambled in a panic outside. You can still see blood on the floor from the few times the twisters broke in. Fighting our way back home to the farm, we lost a lot of people. I was only 9. I covered my eyes. Perhaps the last time my brothers were nice to me was back then when they guided me home. I didn't cry. They told me not to, so I didn't. I'm 19 now, and I've cried a lot since then. I can't help it. After all, I was Runt. Who's got the code? Not me. I got it. Go get. I had never been given the code before. Them trusting me with the code was new. Them trusting me at all was new. We're waiting, Runt. Get to it, boy. It's cold out here. I had no time to think on it, so I went forward towards that hollow, haunted place. You need to complete a variety of puzzles and chores in order to progress through sections of the game. Some are simple, while others will require a bit more thought. Check your inventory, talk to people, and think carefully about how to approach each puzzle. If you need help, check the question mark tab that will be present at each puzzle. I think it was order. Yeah. Once the lock opened, I felt the darkness pass through me. I hadn't even cracked the door open yet, but something strange and cold was seeping in from underneath the door. It wasn't a draft or like a wind or anything, but just something. Something evil. My brothers always said I was too sensitive, too soft. They called me girly and weak and flighty. But if I had known what was beyond these doors and how it would change all our lives, I would have run then and there. Run and run and run and never look back. Can't see anything in here. Quit complaining, get a candle going. Smells funny in here. The inky black feeling only got thicker. I can smell through that. Smell? Wait, yeah, I smell it too now. What is that? Hush. We fell silent. My nerves were twitching like a guilty sinner. Glided up, boys beamed sky high. What is that? You, Runt, go check it out. Me? Why me? Just go. My hands were trembling. My gun rattled in my grip. I couldn't at that time explain even to my numb, dumb self why I felt the way I felt. Maybe it was something like a hunter's gut, an instinct. Dad would have called it divine insight. My brothers would have called it being a pussy. I stepped closer in the dark. I was suddenly assaulted by this deathly smell, rotten and sour, like the vinegar in our canning room. My steps creaked, mixing with the cold wind blowing from in outside. There was something else too, this slow, thick dripping. I'm trembling now as I write it. What a thing we saw, what it did to us. "5 days. We stood in stunned silence as each of us took in a message written in the odds and ends of dozens of creatures. Was it a warning? Was it a threat? We didn't know then, but it was a promise. A promise that would be fulfilled by me. Don't touch nothing now. We left the church stunned and silent, Hunter radiating heat like a fire made out of hate. It was a violation, you see, an unholy mess made of that sacred day. It made him mad. Oh, so mad. Not that he would ever say it, not with words. He didn't need to. You could feel the heat coming off him in waves, and it whipped us all into stupid silence. He took point. We followed with our tails between our legs, no one talking, not even Carver. As we walked, the feeling in the church followed us home again, our sixth most dark brother. I couldn't shake it. I don't know if anyone else felt it, but from how our heads hung low, it was like our own shadows were too heavy. It was late when we got home, deep night. I almost cursed the old screen door for creaking too loud when it slammed my butt on the way in, but Hunter was already up the stairs. We weren't going to talk about it yet then. I sort of wanted to talk about it right then and there, but the longer he was quiet, the worse it was going to be when he finally wasn't. I settled down on my cold mattress with a knot in my stomach. The feeling grew, gnawing and twisting like it was going to come up out of my throat. Every time I was almost asleep, it woke me back up, like it was tapping me on the shoulder, not wanting to let me forget it. I had done something wrong that night in the church. What it was, I didn't quite know yet. The way things were around here, maybe I never would. I lay on my mattress with my eyes closed in the dark, trying to keep myself calm. The feeling haunted me, this feeling of failure. Day 1, Monday. It didn't matter how bad I slept that night. I was up before the crack of dawn, first out of the hen house to let the girls out, then right back in to scrub down the kitchen before I fixed up breakfast. A life like this didn't let you feel sorry for yourself for long. House stuff was my job, mainly cooking and cleaning, watching the hens and tending the little garden out back. Every day I fixed breakfast and dinner, no exceptions, no days off, no matter how piss poor Tanner said my cooking was. At least they let me off the hook for lunch, seeking to take it somewhere and skip claw if they could. Breakfast that morning was nothing but eggs scrambled up with a few sorry sausages and toast. Butter and jam would keep them happy, keep their mouths full from talking too, and would it keep me happy too? I jabbed at the sausages sizzling in the pan. I could hear somebody getting up in another room, and that twisting feeling returned to my stomach like a gut punch. I hadn't felt this bad since Dad died. I couldn't say nothing. Even if anyone else felt the same way, I couldn't say anything. Nobody would care. I set out plates and just on time, as if they could hear the clunking. Everyone shuffled into the room. Hunter first, then Fisher, scratching at his neck and yawning and shaking his head like a dog as he sat, and then Carver and Tanner right together like they always were. In the backyard, the rooster crowed in the morning. Lord our God, we come to you as undeserving sinners with thanks for the bounty you have set fit to put upon our table. Keep your hand heavy upon us as you lead us through the trials of this earth and form us into soldiers of your will. Amen. We were silent then, waiting for Hunter to speak more, but he just pulled his hand back, picked up his fork, and started eating. I followed suit, and once all of our mouths were stuffed, he finally spoke. Who did it? He looked around at us. You couldn't see his eyes, but you could feel them boring into you from underneath the teeth of his mask. Did what? Ow! Carver jumped high enough in his seat to clatter all the plates on the table. I saw why. Tanner had stepped on his foot under the table. But what do you think, genius? We didn't do nothing. We wouldn't do that to Dad. You mean the thing in the church? Oh no, we ain't got no time to be pulling stuff like that. Are you crazy? Carver, baffled as he always was by Hunter trying to chastise him, had his hands up, fork still gripped in one. Fisher wiped a sweaty palm on his dirty pant leg. Tanner stared at Carver, then back at Hunter. Someone must be punished. You mean killed? Ain't it a bit much to kill someone over this? Ooh. Hunter turned and clamped his hand over the back of Tanner's neck. He leaned in, pulling Tanner's head down and close so he could speak right in his ear. His voice was hot and low. You want them unpunished? Is that the message you wish to send for the defamation of our church? The mockery of our day of mourning? You don't want us to do nothing? It's all right to do that to us? Is that what you want to say to them? I knew that hand, how hard it could squeeze. It was like a vice. 5 seconds in and you weren't sure if he was going to start snapping bones. Tanner bore it. Silent didn't move a muscle. Let go of him. You two trade your balls in for that. For a dolly on one of your trips to skip claws at it. His hand didn't relax on Tanner's neck. My eyes would have been watering at this point, but you couldn't move or whine or show any of the pain, or he'd make it worse. Let him go so he can eat his breakfast. He didn't do anything. If it was a townie playing a prank, hell, I'd be happy to skin him myself, but we'll get hell from Skip Claw if we do a thing like that. Just, Jesus H. Christ, Hunter, let him go. Whip fast, Hunter slammed Tanner's head down on the edge of the table. I heard the wind leave his lungs. He staggered. Then Carver lunged forward to start fussing on him. What is wrong with you? He's right. Tanner's voice was weak, warbling. His breath slow and deliberate. His hands gripped the edge of the table as Carver uselessly cradled his shoulders. We have to send a message to whoever did this. They can't mess with us. Sure, we will. We just gotta be stealthy is all. We'll find that. Hunter, don't you worry a thing. We'll find him and string him up by his nutsack. Right, Hunter? That'd be alright, wouldn't it? What if it wasn't a human? The whole table turned and looked at him. Fisher worked his hand up under his mask to scratch again. You think it's one of those unholy? I mean, both of them can do stuff. We've all seen it. It was true. We had all seen it. Every time somebody died to one of those things, we saw it. Twisters were cunning, wily things with a taste for scattering their prey when they were done eating it. Bones this way, half-chewed organs that way, each making some kind of symbol if you looked at it too long. Like it was trying to say something you were too stupid to understand, or too scared. That message in the church. It could have been a twister attack, a few of them in a pack, but it could have been a smoke. They were subtle at first, lights throwing shadows that didn't quite match up, shadows that moved when you weren't looking right at them. Some folks said it was our eyes adjusting, like it was some kind of effect of the shadow of the sky, withdrawal from lack of light. When people started disappearing, more and more and more, just wandering off in the night. And when they were found, they were always in some old barn or abandoned building. The bodies. You couldn't tell who they were anymore. All you knew was that they were human once. They were a person once. Now they were just corpses curled up like dead bugs, skin and faces dried to paper, like old corn husks. Hunter called a town meeting after the first few bodies were found, and the town came to a conclusion on a few things. There was something new out there. It liked the dark, and it needed people to be alone. After that, we paired up, kept flashlights on us as much as we could to ward off the darkness, but it's always dark now. You can't be with someone else around the clock nonstop, even if you like them a lot. That's why we got these masks. They protect us. I'll tell you that story another time. Basically, smokes can't see us with them on, like we're camouflaged. It's why we wear them now. As long as we're out of the dark, as long as we're not alone, as long as we hide our faces, the smokes can't get to us. Funny, I think I've seen my brother's masks more than I ever seen their faces. Some townies I've only ever known through their masks. My mask was... Oh, I can pick. Oh, this one. Cowboy hat with dangling feathers and bones. I used bits from our little ladies to decorate it. Felt bad wasting it, but that ain't here or there. Watched Fisher scratch himself again. The lights were steady in the kitchen, buzzing a low hum into the cold. I mean, both of them can do stuff. We've all seen it. At Fisher's words, I felt I had to say something. Don't think they could have done that. My words died in my mouth the second I said it. They all looked at me at once. I met each of their masks, staring at their vacant, blank eye holes. What, you got other ideas? He ain't got nothing. Come on, let's hear it. Might be funny. When I entertain him, his little scratchy voice pisses me off. My throat's dry, leave me alone. Come on, Runt, speak up. Tell us all about your little ideas. Oh, don't freeze. Don't freeze on me. Oh. Hunter was quiet. That fist on the table was all he needed to say. Everyone shut up and looked at him, but Hunter, he was looking at me. I could feel his eyes on me, even if I couldn't see him. Ask questions. Investigate. I want everyone searching. There will be no failure, no backing out. Carver, you're walking the perimeter. Tanner, guard duty. Fisher, hydro plant. If you find anything, report back immediately. That's an order. We all nodded. Runt, follow anyone you want to today. It was awful having to pick like this, knowing nobody wanted me around. It was too weak to go out solo. Everyone knew this. Every day I had to do this. Every day they hated it and hated me a little bit more. They wouldn't go against Hunter's word. It was as much as anybody would hate to admit it, they needed me. Maybe they would have never mourned me as a brother, but they would have mourned the loss of a soldier, the loss of a warm body, the loss of a meat shield. They all ignored me as I lifted my head to look at each of them. Shifts. Each day you'll have to select one of your brothers to conduct a shift with. Shifts last most of the day and can be started immediately after breakfast or after you spend your free time in Skipclaw. You cannot do a shift with the same brother twice in 1 week. Whoever you select to work with today will not be available again. Consider who you choose carefully. Hunter may be the worst of the bunch, but that knot in my stomach says maybe I should pick him first, get him done and out of the way. Carver, the middle kid, a real jerk who likes to hear his own mouth. Maybe it'd be easier just to do the shift with him early. Tanner, the second in command, but not for any good reason. He hates it when I get between him and Carver. And Fisher, the fourth born, twitchy and quiet with his weird ramblings. Still, he ain't the worst. Spending a shift together would be bearable. 1 second, I need to lower my desk. Okay. Oh. This was my first thought. Fisher was silent. He scratched under his beard again, sound papery and dry in the air. Then it settled. 2 rounds in the meantime. Runt, meet after. We want you to talk to all the loners, anybody who lives alone or spends most of their shifts alone. On my own? You can handle it. It's time you started pulling your weight around here. Took a ton of effort to not drop my eyes to the plates on the table. Carver slammed the table and stood up out of his chair. You're sending him out on his own. Why we gotta do our shifts while he's messing around with his dick in his hand? Quit complaining unless you want Hunter to staple him to your ass for the week. It'll be useful this way. Less heat on us for prying into those townies. Hunter kept his gaze on Carver until he sunk back into his chair with disgust. Runt. Yes, sir. You got that dairy girl... Got that dairy girl, Charlize, the doc and his pesky twins. Also, that Willie and that radio feller read. I know we got more people, but just focus on those for today. You got 3 hours. Make good use of it. It's a lot of people. He stood, they followed. I stayed to wash the dishes. With all the dishes done, it was time to head out. I opened my map and let my already tired eyes trace the paper, deciding where to go. Where did I start today? Oh, the little save icon changed. After breakfast, you can either start your shift with your brother straight away or use your free time to explore and talk to people around Skipclaw. Your free time is given to you by Hunter and is the only time you have to explore the world and talk to people. Pissing Hunter off or breaking rules will reduce the amount of hours you have for free time. Visiting a location with someone present and having a conversation with them will take up 1 hour of your free time. If you visit a location with no one present, it will not take up any time. Remember, the things you do and the order you visit people can radically change what you can discover. Explore around and experiment. You might encounter entirely different days. If you're not sure where to head, check your journal. It may have leads or clues on where you go and what to do next. Open your map when you're ready to head out. The church was desecrated. I need to find out who or what did it. I need to ask around town. Brothers. Hunter's dog died recently, leaving him quite upset. Crystals are disgusting, horrible creatures that showed up immediately after the blackout. Don't let their size fool you. They ain't actually slow or stupid. Wall's been keeping them out for a few years now, but it seems like they're changing tactics on how they get to us. Okay, go to the farm. Dairy was right over the hill from the food stores, so you could smell it before you saw it. You could smell it all the way across town if the wind was right. Ugh. Even with the mask on, it'd sear into your eyes. Ew. Living there as long as I had, I never got used to it. Gary belonged to the Garlands, but there was only one of them still around in those days. Remember Dad saying the Garlands were one of them families who settled in Skipclaw way back in the 1800s and something. Although they were... because their ancestors had a prize heifer that meant they could run the town. Maybe he was right, I don't know. Garlands had always been kind to me as far back as I could remember. Hard workers, no-nonsense types who always waved back with a smile when you hollered a hello. Generous people even after the blackout. It was a worse world without them all. It had happened a few years ago after a real cold winter. Perhaps the worst day we had there since the blackout. Carver and Tanner were part of the group that had to carry out the bodies and hoist them over the fence to burn. We couldn't hold burials for them, too risky with disease catching and medicine running low. I think that was the first time I'd really worried about how long we'd last in this world. It didn't seem to matter if we wore our masks or had fenced ourselves away from the outside world when a simple cold could wipe you out. Everyone goes up in smoke eventually. Everyone except Shirley's, that is, and her sister Ivy, who skipped town soon after. Seeing Shirley's there that day, forking hay from the wheelbarrow out over the fence, and the sight of her made me smile, even the scent of cow poo in the wind. Is that who I think it is? Ah, her mask is cool. Shirley's was what you'd call a real looker, even with the mask on. And I'll admit, my heart did a little flip in my chest hearing the smile in her voice as she called out to me. She's kind, like I said, like all the Garlands. She always treated me like a kid brother, though. These days, I don't know. My feelings were all knotted up, twisted. I didn't know if what I felt was friendship or something more. I cared for her, I wanted her safe, and I'd know I'd do anything for her. But the thought of telling her that didn't sit right with me, as if she needed any more stray or trouble. Morning, Miss Garland. You need any help with that hay? Miss Garland, come on, Runt. I'm only 25. No, I'm just finishing up now. How are you, kiddo? Been better, but I've been worse. And she laughed at that and stuck her pitchfork in the soft earth, clapped the stray hay off her gloves, and swung her thick braid back over her shoulder. How's everybody doing at the farm after yesterday? I was surprised at first that she asked how many people in town actually remembered Dad at all, let alone the day he died. That was Shirley's. She was the type to always want to know what was going on, not in a nosy way, but in a caring way. Like if you told her your birthday, she'd write it down on the spot and remember it forever. Well, kind of. I picked up the handles of the wheelbarrow for her as I struggled to think of what to say. Shirley's wasn't that much older than me and tough. It wasn't like I needed to hide the hard stuff from her. God knows she dealt with plenty already, what with her family and bad years of stock and, having to live in the world the way it is now. I just didn't want to add to that. Didn't feel right telling her that, just like it didn't seem right to be telling her I wasn't a kid anymore. She deserved peace. She walked right next to me all along the fence as the cows chewed hay and cud with a look on their face like they were bored of us before we even showed up. There was an incident. An incident? What happened? She was on edge. It was more than caring. I heard in her voice it was real worry. Made me grit my teeth. I shouldn't have said anything, but I had to tell everything now. My gut churned as I recalled her. Everything we saw yesterday. The blood, the guts, the words all across the back of the wall, crooked and dripping fresh. Didn't see her face, of course, but she stopped looking my way as I talked. By the time we reached the barn, her arms were crossed, her shoulders tight. Jeez, that gives me the shivers. It was something. And you don't know who did it? Or what did it? What did it? You think one of those things did it? Do they really do that? I don't know. Shirley's went real quiet. As far as I knew, Shirley's was also the only one amongst us who had seen the most of the Twisters on account of being a real crack shot. Just pests to be picked off. But the thought of a pest being able to do something like that sent shivers down my spine all over again, as if the thought had just occurred to me for the first time right then. What are you planning to do? I half shrugged. Investigating, I guess. Couldn't go on. Shirley's head coughed. I don't like the idea of bothering you with this. Makes it seem like I've got it out for you, and I swear I don't. She laughed again, and it felt like the light had just turned on in the darkness of the barn. Don't worry about me. I can handle a few questions. Have you seen anything, creatures, townies sneaking around? She hummed to herself as she thought, looking out past the shuffling herd. Well, I never have a good feeling about Willie, but he's been lingering around Mr. Dixon's office some nights more than usual. He's still hounding me about the spare bottles for his business. I get why some people need a little drink every now and again, but you put a bunch of people in a cage and liquor them up, not good. I don't agree with everything that brother of yours says, but not allowing any parties is maybe the smartest thing he's ever done. After the fence, of course. Hunter had made a declaration early on that there was to be no booze of any kind in Skipclaw. Of course, nobody liked that, and once the doc mentioned that he had to have something to sterilize with, Hunter was talked into letting Willie keep his setup for medical purposes only. There was one rule: no booze-ups, no big parties, no strain on the power grid, no noise to attract unfriendlies, no drunks doing stupid stuff that'll get us all killed. Last and only party we had was amounted to a potluck in the old school gym, while Radio Red played the same CD out of a little boombox, and the kids played some ratty old board games with half the pieces missing. Then everyone got bored and went home. I guess it made some people happy. Of course, there's still parties if you know where to look. Really? How come I never hear anything about them? Well, you're just a sweet young thing. Once you start getting a bit older, I'll start letting you in on the shindigs. I frowned. Life's pretty tough nowadays. What if I don't make it to another year? That's the beauty of living, Runt. Giving you something to look forward to. That's my gift to you. That's hope. I'll never forget her words. Hope. What could you say to a big glass of milk? A touch more age-appropriate. Gee, thanks. Can I ask you something? Yes, ma'am. Why do they have you doing pickups today? Was Carver feeling under the weather or something? Haven't seen him around here lately. Carry pickups and check-ins were a task Carver took upon himself with great pride ever since he started mixing more with the townies. He said it was smart to breed good relations with the old family, and if Charlize had to be there, well, all the better for breeding. His words, not mine. It was one of the only things he and Tanner didn't see eye to eye on. Tanner kept his distance with the townies and seemed to hate Carver mixing too much with them. But Tanner kept his distance from everyone that wasn't Hunter or Carver. I couldn't tell you what he was up to. Hunter might know, but even then, with Carver being Carver, I shrugged. I figured if you do talk or whatever y'all big old manly men do, could you do a favor for me? I nodded. Tell him not to be a stranger. I haven't seen him since Saturday, which I know ain't a long time, but I wanted to tell her I couldn't, that in fact I wouldn't be doing that. Carver, no matter how charming he was, had a bad side, a rotten core. He wasn't going to be nice forever. And if Charlize, who had been nothing but kind to me, had to be subject to that, you two aren't. Charlize waved her hand all shy-like. Don't you worry about that. Just tell him, alright? Shouldn't mess with a guy like him. Well, why is that now? He ain't good for you. He ain't good for this town. He's a player, strutting rooster crowing about all sorts of stuff. Wow, we cursing our own flesh and blood now. I can handle myself, Runt, I promise. But you're mighty cute when you try to stick up for me. Makes me want to pinch those little cheeks of yours. Maybe you're getting a bit cocky. You must be growing up. I had to try to warn her, say something, but she had always been headstrong, confident. So it made her her. I just need to talk to Carver about something. Collected her ration of milk, and she sent me off with a hug that lasted just a little longer than usual. Talk to Willie. Of all the places in Skipclaw to go, Willie's was the one I hated the most. It was the most isolated after our own farm, sitting right at the edge of the town near the radio tower. A thick wall of wire surrounded it, along with heaps of trash and enough weeds to choke the life out of you. It stank to high heaven, sitting near a little runoff of water that stood still with bugs swarming. But that was all intentional. Willie never laid out any welcome mat for anybody. He didn't have any business here. You'd get gone before the bugs and smell ate you alive. We never came around much. Most of the town treated Willie with kind of distance. He never really had visitors and never invited anyone around. He had a bit of a reputation for being a salty old bastard. But rounds were rounds. I didn't have to check on everyone, but today I had a good excuse. If anyone might have an idea about stirring up trouble, it'd be Willie. Willie, you in there? I heard nothing. Knocked again. Nothing. I knew he was home. He was never out before noon. Usually worked in the night though night usually had little meaning in our gray world. Willie. Oh. What? What's all this? It's too early to be yelling. Willie, it's me. I'm just doing rounds. What has doing rounds got to do with waking me up? I ain't a kid who needs checking in. This isn't summer camp. What's summer camp? Willie sighed, rubbed his hand against his mask like it was his hair, started laughing. This raspy, thin laugh. God, you wouldn't know nothing about that. He's right, though. Willie left the door open, stumbling back inside. When he didn't close the door on me, I let myself in, the whole entryway creaking under my weight. The room was messy but warm, giving me brief relief from the cold outside. Might have to move my little face. Can't watch those. The room was messy but warm, giving me brief relief from the cold outside. Through the mask, I smelt that sour stench of unwashed sheets. I nearly gagged seeing the trash scattered in the corners. God, this guy sucked. What are you here for anyways? Don't see you this much on this side of town. Willie was the town. Well, I don't know exactly what you call him. Outlaw, ruffian. Regardless, he was not well liked. What he mainly did was make booze and start fights. He had done all sorts of things before the blackout hit, apparently. Drugs, guns, cockfighting even. Anything to make a quick, bloody buck. But the drugs were quickly used up or destroyed, and the guns were all confiscated. Some of his chickens died off soon after too, with the rest taken back to our house. He didn't take too kindly to that, or any kind of authority really. The Claw didn't have any sort of police station or sheriff, given our size. It was how Willie managed to survive so long without getting caught. When the blackout happened and hunters started changing things up in town, Willie was the hardest one to get in line. They fought constantly, mainly about Willie doing chores with the rest of us. He was bad at patrols, bad at farming, bad at everything but getting in trouble. In the end, Willie was given one singular job. Stay out of the way. Hunter would have killed him outright. One less mouth to feed if it weren't for Willie's one skill. He had a setup, left over from his working days, that converted the runoff from our wheat into fuel that could help power some of the older generators. Hunter let him live after seeing how quickly he converted 2 barrels of chaff into a solid barrel of fuel. Largely left to his own devices, we only came around when we needed to move the fuel to any of the older Jennies. It was a pain each time, so we only went when we really needed to. For a while, it seemed like we were at peace with the little thorn. But like the old saying, idle hands are the devil's workshop. Willie got into making this moonshine stuff so strong it could blow your hair clean off. The townies kept it a secret from Hunter. Once I found some youngin with the bottle and they begged me not to say anything. At the time, I was real young, so I said nothing. It seemed to have won me a lot of favor. I never drank the stuff. It smelled so strong, I nearly passed out when those youngin tried to offer it to me as thanks. If the others, my brothers, that knew anything about Willie's little side business. They rarely made mention of it. Maybe they got a free bottle from time to time. I didn't know. Perhaps we were all content to keep the peace as long as Willie kept it himself, making his little bottles to trade for food, and was still working on making a living. No harm, no foul. Regardless, he hated our asses, which was fine. I hated the guy too. I didn't like that he made chickens fight. It seemed mighty cruel. I'm here doing rounds. You said that already. Gotta get back to napping. You ain't got no reason to be here bothering me. Unless you're interested in some of my wares, eh? Wanted to beat the smirk out of him. Couldn't see it, but I could hear it. Willie had to know something about what happened, but I was hesitant on what to say. He could start spreading all sorts of rumors about me if I said the wrong thing. Ooh. See anything strange lately? What do you mean strange? The whole damn world's strange. Like weird stuff, rumors or twisters or smoke. No, nobody talks to me. Don't play with me now. I know you got a little network with your business. Part of your trade, ain't it? He started to laugh and sat down on the stool by his workstation. Well, it ain't much a secret nowadays. But as much as my little business makes me Mr. Popular, my customers don't chat too much. Kind of part of the deal. Discretion or guarantee, that's kind of my motto. Anyway, why you asking? Just part of my rounds. You're a liar, boy. Whatever it's you're up to, I ain't interested. Whatever punch y'all drinking, I ain't thirsty enough for it. What theories? He waved a wrinkled hand at me. Don't play dumb with me. I ain't in the mood. Let me get back to my nap. I need my beauty sleep. He gave up. Any more prod wouldn't mean much, and I had to stay on schedule. Something struck me as I started to head out. That I wasn't really used to hearing so far away from the hydro station. It was a hum, an electrical hum, rose above the soft whine of the workstation tools. What's that sound? What sound? What you talking about? The hum, you don't hear it? Willie spread his hands wide, looking round. I don't hear. You're going crazy or something? I don't want a cracked egg hanging about my delicate workstation. I'll kick you out of there if you start speaking in tongues. Hey, weren't that something your old man's little book thing? What? Weren't that something in your old man's little book things? Must have been something, listening to that go off day after day. No wonder y'all turned out so damn crooked. Wrong like damn weeds. I left, slamming the door behind me. I didn't want to stay and listen to his rambling any longer. That strange hum faded as I walked back, replaced by the constant low howl of the prairie wind. Ugh. Let's go talk to the twins. I figured I'd run into the twins if I swung by one of their haunts, while the benches in the little plaza outside the old antique store seemed empty at first glance. I wasn't there 10 seconds before a pair of shadows overtook me with a flurry of footsteps. Whoa! Hey, Runt, looky here. Where you been? They flanked me, pawing at me and tugging on my clothes for a second before settling down, knocking against each other and breathless. Where have I been? It's only been a day. Y'all can't handle not seeing me for one day. We get so damn bored without you. Yeah. We bitch at after classes, man. Yeah. Besides, you're just too damn fun to pick on. Oh. Well, here I am. Hee. Temple and church were the twin terrors of Dwight Dixon Skipclaw's vet turned doctor. I liked them well enough, but by God, if they weren't like two rubber balls, bouncing off the floor and ceiling and the walls and each other so fast you couldn't keep track of either of them until one of them hit you right between the eyes. Doc said they were blessed with an overabundance of energy. Riled up, I called it. Always ready for pranks, for mischief, for distracting you with the tall tale that went nowhere, while the other snuck behind your back and swiped your rations. I knew from talking to their dad that they turned 18 over the winter, but if I asked them their age myself, they'd never give me a straight answer. Truth wasn't as fun as keeping people guessing. Last year, they swapped places in school for a full week before anybody noticed that temple was church and church was temple. The masks were a boon to such nonsense, and even though they got reprimanded for their prank, I had a suspicion they still swapped places with a frightening regularity. I knew temple liked spikes, and church had a real liking for trinkets. It was the only way I could remember to tell them apart. All this high energy and thirst for mischief made them pretty good sources for gossip. But how they managed to get in so many secrets while being so loud was beyond me. They might know something helpful about what had happened in the church, but if they were sensing I was sniffing around for secrets, they might withhold it from me, turn it into a game. Didn't have the courage to ask myself then if their pranks had taken a turn for the twisted. Hunter finally let you off your leash? Hey, I ain't on a leash. Alright then, come hang out. You wanna hang out? Jimmy's got his bike all fixed up and he made a huge ramp over this huge mud pit he found back behind the mill, and we're gonna go see if he can jump it. But you can't tell anyone about it because it's dangerous. We'll get our asses kicked if his mom and dad find out. Because last year he broke his leg jumping out of the barn, and Dad didn't know if we'd said it right. He's not even supposed to have his bike after that mess with the tractor, but we think he can jump that pit. Yeah, I want to see him jump that pit. Come on, Runt, don't you want to see him jump the pit? Or crash. Come watch. Never hang out with us anyway, we want to have some fun. Come on, Runt. They were jumping up and down with excitement as they finished, thinking on what a glorious sight it would be to see Jimmy go over the pit of mud. A small part of me did want to see it, but shucks, man, I hate to say it, but I got a shift soon. Oh, no. Come on, Runt, just once. You're no friend. You never come hang out. They were right. I never did hang out. Might have been a good idea to go, especially if a whole group of kids was going to be at this mud pit. I'd ask around, see if anybody knew anything. Kids were underestimated as eyes and ears of the town. They got themselves into all sorts of secrets. All us grown-ups were too busy to gossip on the grapevine or whatever. But at the thought of going to hang out with a bunch of townies teens, my stomach sunk. Truth was, the twins, all the other kids in towns, they made me feel old and out of place. Kids were precious and Skipclaw. After the blackout, when it had become clear that the skies were never going to clear and nothing was ever going to get better, townies got together and decided to piss off Hunter in the worst way possible. They declared that nobody under the age of 18 was to be put to work. No jobs, no shifts, no patrolling the perimeter, no skipping out on getting an education to work alongside their parents. Parents of Skipclaw wanted their kids to be just that, kids. Hunter went ballistic, shouted that they were weak, hanging on to the ways of a world that didn't exist no more. Blind to the realities of the one we really did live in. The perimeter had only gone up as fast as it did because we had the kids right there helping their parents around the clock. Hunter saw it. Skipclaw wanted to let them mess around and contribute nothing. They wanted to bring them up soft and useless. They wanted to set their kids up for dying. Bad fight broke out in the meeting hall that night, with Carver and Tanner trying to keep Hunter from killing anybody in the mob, while also trying to keep the mob from killing Hunter. Even still, a man nearly died getting in Hunter's face about keeping his sons off the patrols. In the end, Hunter was outnumbered and exhausted by the group of desperate parents, and he relented on one condition. They had to learn survival, too. They had to learn it good. That calmed Hunter down enough to not finish the bloodshed he'd started that night. He walked out of that place with only a simmer of rage, keeping his shoulders taut. Not that it was right, though. It wasn't that Hunter wanted, and he made it everyone else's problem. First it was me, beaten blue and bloody the night of the town meeting. Then it was one of the Mason teens running home with a dislocated shoulder for crossing too close to the church property. then pot shots near kids playing ball, then little Laura being grabbed and told she was going to get thrown over the wall so the twisters could eat her if she didn't stop playing too loud. It just went on, and no one could stop Hunter. Thankfully, Church and Temple were too smart to ever mess with Hunter and too lucky to ever run into him. Instead, they enjoyed messing with me in a nice way, I think. I told you you were on a leash. Come on, Bark. Roll over. Cut it out, y'all. Hee hee. We're just teasing you. Can you or can't you hang? Mud pit, mud pit, mud pit. Twins were crowding in on me like eager little pups nipping at my heels trying to get me to chase them. They were young. They just wanted to play. But I couldn't. No matter how much they included me, I felt a wall between us. And it wasn't just them. Even from behind everyone's mask, I felt weird looks. Every attempt at including me left me lost in the conversation. I'd asked them what work they were doing, like what projects or repairs they had going on, and was met with silence. I wasn't one of them, and I never would be. But the twins, bless them both, never seemed to give up on me. They always tried to include me, always let me know when movie night was coming, and they'd come pick me up if I wanted to come. But hanging out was not part of survival, not for a strayer. And so I had to content myself with the solace that being alone was better than being black and blue for having friends. What's going on in the big old head of yours? Yeah, Mr. Mysterious. Are you trying to be all cool again? I'm sorry I can't hang out with you guys, but... What? What's going on? Something wrong? You got something going on, don't you? Is it a secret? We won't tell. We swear. Pinky swear. They held out their fingers at the same time, brimming with excitement. Hesitate a second, thinking on it. I could reveal what I saw, but did they really understand how to keep a secret? Have you guys seen anything weird? Weird? Twins looked at each other thinking, what you mean by weird? Yeah, what's weird to you? Lily's been kind of weird lately, getting in all sorts of scraps. That ain't weird. Come on, Runt. What's weird to you? Just anything. People being strange or seeing more of them. Creatures? No, I don't think so. We could ask around. You want us to help you? Yeah, we can help. They nodded, their heads eagerly quivering in their boots with excitement. You want to help? Help was like a magic word to them. They nodded, knocking into each other. What's the mission? Yeah, what do we gotta do? I hesitated, didn't want to tell them what happened, but I could not give them something to work off of. There was a bit of like graffiti over at the church, Hunter scheming about it. And some gutted up animals around the perimeter. If you hear about anyone bragging about that kind of thing, tell me. Nobody else you hear, just me. We get you. Hunter's gonna kill him, right? I faltered. The starkness of it stung. He might. We can be discreet. Don't you worry about us. I nodded, but despite the promises, worry started nagging at my gut. It wasn't so much them finding something out, rather it was someone knowing they were being hunted down. That kind of fear can drive you crazy, make you all twisted up. You might find you end up hurting somebody. Like a deer caught in a bear trap, just flinging its weight about to get free. Twins started walking off as I trailed behind them. They shuffled restlessly, nudging each other as we walked aimlessly around the plaza. Listen, Runt, gotta ask you a bit of a favor, seeing how you're a bit older and all. What's that? Surprisingly, Temple didn't say anything, but looked around like they were nervous, crossing their arms. You tell them, Church. Reading material? You know, some more adult stuff we can't get at school. Come on, don't toy with him. He doesn't know what you mean. I tried to ignore the sting of those words. Temple came in close, lowering their voice. We want porn, okay? Okay, old porn mags. They got naked ladies and fellas and all that. Sometimes doing stuff too, you know, together. The way Church said together made me more grateful for my mask than I ever have been my whole life. My face got so red so fast I felt like I was sticking my head in an oven. Yeah, I heard of it, sure. I didn't know. I mean, I'd always heard it was the kind of thing where, you know, it when you saw it. And I'd been keeping my eye out, but I don't think I ever seen any before. You think you might, you know, see Red in your future? Gosh, Red, he's got a whole stash of mags, but he won't give them out to any of us. We saw his stash when we went by on Saturday. Yeah, after we dropped off those cassette tapes from Miss Karn. I've been trying to get someone else to get them, but nobody will borrow some for us. except maybe you. I... How old are these kids anyway? They're younger, so no. Don't know, guys. Come on, man. Don't be stingy. You're the oldest man. I wouldn't even know what to ask. Our poor little runt. Can you even say tits? Oh, boy. Where'd you guys learn all this? Triple. There's nothing I could say to stop them. Yeah, maybe I didn't know some of those words, or most of those words, but they didn't need to know that. They sped off, bounding like the dogs they were in the muddy streets of Skipclaw. I realized then I hadn't asked if they had done it. It didn't seem right to. I doubted they did. They were young and dumb kids, but not that dumb to mess with our church. Felt that chill return. If they had done it, Hunter, no matter what, would kill them. He would have no qualms about it. No reason to see him through that haze of anger he had. Nobody could stop him. As I watched him run off, the ache grew heavier and heavier in my heart. Please God, don't let it be them. Yeah, it's time for our shift. Proceed to your shift. You won't be able to explore the town once you start. My elbow popped. Skipclaw's a hell of a place to be withstanding an apocalypse. We all should have been dead out there in this pit stop of a town. Abandoned or out near a 2-lane highway half washed out with potholes. There wasn't another town or decent grocery store for miles. It used to be a lumber town, but this stuff always hits the fan at some point. Mill shut down and everyone who made something of the place left, leaving just a handful of the old ranching families keeping it on the map. Then, as if they were trying to deliver Skipclaw a final killing blow, the government decided to cut Skipclaw off the main grid. Tried paying people to relocate, said it was too remote to be worth running power out to anymore. Instead of the people of Skipclaw stayed and set up their own power station. That was around the time us Strayers showed up. As long as I known it, Skipclaw's been powered by a small hydro plant right over the river. That's real proof of God's hand, as Dad said. Out of all the places to withstand some kind of end of the world, us Strayers ended up somewhere that didn't need the rest of the world to be up and running. As long as the river runs, we run too. I didn't get how it all worked, but Fisher did. I guess you could say because of our age, we were the most alike. I'd venture to say, too, that he was the nicest to me, though that nice came with a big keeping side of preaching and always going on about God and my immortal soul in peril and stuff like that. He wasn't half as bad as Dad had been, but he was still annoying with it. Why couldn't he be more, normal? Why do you always have to say weird stuff like he had at breakfast? Felt bad thinking that. I pushed it down as I trudged through all the mud, the last bits of winter nipping my ass as I pumped my legs up the hill to the hydro plant. A pair of engineers coming off shift passed me and nodded, a polite gesture that meant nothing at all. I nodded back. I saw Fisher right as I turned the corner, Dad's big black hat over that welding mask, heavy coat, arms crossed over his chest. Just past him was Willie, the moonshiner, talking real low and mean-looking. Couldn't hear what he was saying. Fisher didn't reply, but Willie saw me coming, and with a lift of his mask, he spit on the ground, turned and went on his way. Jerk that guy, always picking fights, eternally pissing off Hunter and strutting around like he was the only cock in the hen house, just because he had all the booze in town under his key. But Fisher's cattle prod was still slung over his back. Whatever Willie tried to start with him didn't get very far. Fisher kept his eye on Willie and started for something in his pocket, then caught sight of me and called out with a voice bigger than you expect from his size. Eavesdropping, are we? No, I just came up. I didn't hear nothing. Yeah, well, that shit had never hit anything worth saying anyway. Alright, come on, you know the drill. Visitor's book, then I'm making my checks. Sweep up if you get bored. Room's in the corner. With a jerk of his head, he turned and went through the chain link fence into the station. I didn't care much for the hydro plant on account of it being far away and weird and dangerous looking and always making some kind of god-awful noise. Screeching, whining, thrumming, and humming. And I wasn't allowed to even think about touching a thing in there, lest I get hit upside the head for messing something up, causing a blackout and breaking equipment or something. So when Fisher was up doing his daily and hourly checks, I had to hang back, keeping my hands to myself and stay completely silent. I dipped into the control room to sign my name on the visitor's book. Mandatory procedure for the station, though not many visitors came up here. Signed my name under the last entry, me from last week, and wrote down the date. Meter check was hourly. Fisher picked up his clipboard and I picked up the push broom and started sweeping. Looking good. You tell Hunter we're all square here, nothing to report. Thought there was a surge the other day, on Saturday. Surge? Nah, nothing in my logs, not on my watch. Surges have been pretty common in the early days when the power was first working again, but the electricity had been sorted out real steady for the past few years. The whole city, including us out in the outskirts, were on a schedule. Each allotted a certain amount of power every day. Surges weren't too common anymore, especially in steady weather, but I definitely saw one on Saturday. At or I was starting to see stuff. I was pretty sure I wasn't seeing anything. Fisher finished his final round of checks as I tapped the push broom out. The Jennies thrummed. Fisher made no move. We got a project today. Projects were by far the most favorable way to spend a shift with Fisher. He usually had something he was tinkering with at the station that I could help with, even if it was just holding rebar for him while he welded. Nah, nothing. You get that new cart built in? Yeah, finished it Friday. Okay. Something wasn't right with him. Sure, he was slow moving and tired today, but he hadn't tossed me his shabby old pocket Bible to give me something to do while he caught some shut-eye in the control room. Guess it didn't take a genius to figure out what was bugging him. It was bugging me too. But just how I was going to talk to him about what we'd seen in the church, I didn't know. It was different talking to a brother about it than a townie. Especially when that brother reminded me so much of Dad. I took a step towards him, looked his head up at me, as if he had forgotten I was there. What? We raking out the gate? Oh yeah. I was shaking himself out of whatever forest of thoughts he had been lost in. Right, you go get the compost barrel. He lifted his mask just enough to scratch at his face again, then went over to halting the Jennies for a sec so we could rake out the gate. Met him outside with the wheelbarrow. The gate over the river always caught weeds and plants and stuff in it, sometimes dead fish, and had to be cleaned out at the start of every shift. I watched him sink right down into the murky depths and haul up a snarl of weeds. Not too much, not this time of year. It still stung. Wind swept the grasses, chilled itself over the dark surface of the river. Fisher kept raking in silence. He wasn't going to talk about the church then, even though I lay heavy over both of us. He wasn't going to ask me about it. What did you mean at breakfast? What did I mean at breakfast? He seemed offended, ticked off by it, more than I would have thought he'd be. What the hell kind of question is that? You get stupid overnight? Took out the rake, popping a whole mess of duckweed and grass in a compost barrel with a wet slop. I ain't stupid. Then stop asking stupid questions. I ain't a complicated situation. You really don't think it was a prank? I think it was one of them. Sure wasn't one of us. How'd you figure? You were there. How'd it feel at the church? Never mind what you saw. What did you feel? Where? Fisher nodded. All that mess, that blood, that didn't feel like people to me. I nodded, but wasn't convinced. The scared feeling didn't need much for proof. The rake handled a long piece of metal pipe, hit the grate and twanged, pushing a weird, warbling sound through the dark water. Up came another heap of messy, stinking weed. This time when Fisher pulled the rake off the compost pile, a dead fish gleamed up at me. I reckon Hunter thinks it was a prank. Carver certainly does. Fisher snorted a laugh at that, like it really did amuse him. If Carver shut up long enough to think, it wasn't a prank. And Hunter, nah. Who in this town would kill that many animals just to spook us, especially now, when the land is lean and the animals scrawny for wanting feed. He had a point there. All that mess, it was too wasteful. The one thing you didn't want to be doing these days was wasting good food. I didn't like it. If Fisher was right, if it wasn't a prank, that means those twisters. If it was them, it's getting worse. Fisher looked back at me, shaking the rake deep down in the water. The visor of his mask caught the bare bulb outside of the control house door, and flashed yellow. I looked at him as he sunk the rake back down into the black water of the river. I thought of the husks of humans, dead and dried up after the smoke had finished with them. I thought about the ones they had got. The old tailor, Bennett, he got 2-3 years ago. He was saved before they sucked him clean. Still alive, but not there anymore. Moving, sleeping, would eat if you pushed food into his mouth, but gone. Smokes have been stealing from us for years now. Every husked out body where that person's inside go. The idea of the two of them, creatures working together, Jesus. Thought they hated each other. Who did they hate more? Each other or those of us still walking in the light? Feel sick at the thought of twisters and smokes turning into folks and coming after us together. We never prepared for something like that. What are we gonna do? If the message is right, we only got 5 days. We can't, Fisher stopped, full of his rake. The shadow of his hand slid over his mask and he nodded once solemnly. We're about to be experiencing the will of God, Runt. Are you ready? It struck me cold. Goose flesh raked up my spine. What? He didn't respond. He turned back to his work, silent, lost again in the thicket of thoughts in his big bull head as the rake went down into the deep waters. Up and down, up and down, up and down. I couldn't leave fast enough after the shift ended. Thinking feelings struck my stomach whenever I thought of Fisher's words. The will of God. God was mean. God was punishing. God wanted you to be tougher than you really were. Didn't want to be experiencing the will of God in 5 days. Didn't want to be twister or smoked, but Fisher was convinced of it, laughed outright at the idea of it being a prank. I should have convinced Fisher it was. Seeing all that in the church had set something off in Fisher. Something dark, something heavy. A stone that was going to roll and pick up speed until it smashed us all into nothing. The first day wound down, digging myself in the cold earth to sleep. I had done what I could for Hunter's mission that day, asking questions, interrogating. My feet were sore, stumping back down home, and then having to do my dinner and nightly chores. They all came home, exhausted from the day, and ate dinner wordlessly. Even Carver seemed too tired to start up any fights. It was an unspoken thing. What had happened at the church was finally settling on our shoulders, and God, it was a heavy weight. As I ate, standing at the counter, I stared at each of my brothers and wondered what they were thinking, wondering what was going on behind those masks of theirs. At that time, I didn't feel any closer to the answer. I suppose I still don't. My thoughts drifted to my shift. Fisher was quiet, withdrawn, never had much to say while he tinkered away on them jennies. From what I could get out of him, he had some weird thoughts about the whole church thing, but sorting out his beliefs and his facts, I couldn't rightly say I knew the difference between the two. I wondered what he was talking about with Willie before I arrived. Willie ain't got any business with us. If he got Fisher roped into one of his stupid schemes, what he's offering him, what was he offering him? Everyone left their dishes without a word, and I collected them, washing them under the single flickering bulb above the sink. I was so tired, I swear I nearly dunked my head in the murky sink water. As I rolled onto my bed, bones aching and stiff to the core, I thought about tomorrow. That message haunted me. 5 days until what? I didn't know what it would bring. if it would ever get closer to a real answer about the church. I saw the guts, the flies, the ribbons of red across that place that had once been not a home, but something special. Not like good special, like big special, overwhelming special. If we ever were to move past this, we needed an answer. But I couldn't think of how to get any answers. I panicked, looking around the room as if anything could help me. And funnily enough, something did. I had this old spy book, you see, a thriller, a real blood-pumping tale of international espionage, as the back cover claimed. Picked it up and flipped through the pages, rereading the dog-eared pages I had read countless times before and grinned. The spy in the book wasn't especially strong or loud or commanding or nothing. He was just real smart, real clever with putting clues together and figuring out what needed to be figured out. I knew how they did all this stuff, putting together clues and stuff. It wasn't that hard at all. Didn't need to be strong and powerful or anything, just have a decent head on your shoulders. There's nothing stopping me from doing it myself. I rushed to scribble down everything I'd heard that day, marking out anything and everything that seemed suspicious or valuable. Soon I had a list of clues, and with them, the questions I needed to answer to pin the right person. Who could have done it? Where were they on that day it happened? How did they do it? Why did they do it? What would happen on the fifth day? If I could answer all these questions, I could show Hunter at the end of the week, and this whole thing would be cleared up. I sighed, laying back on my bed with a smile on my face. The smile didn't last for long. I saw all the blood and those guts in my mind. Might be able to figure it out, but somebody was going to get hurt for it. No matter how good I figured it out, no matter what I did, somebody was going to get hurt. Would it be my fault? I brought my journal up to my face and looked at what I had written again. At the end of the day, you will need to go over all you learned from your investigation, namely clues, and pair them together to create conclusions. These conclusions will help answer questions and rule out suspects. However, you'll have to put your solving to the test in the full game, as you don't have enough clues to make any conclusions right now. Look around your journal and click the hand at the bottom when you want to head to bed. It's been a long day. Church was desecrated. I need to find out who or what did it. To ask around town. I should ask whomever. Nobody seemed to know exactly who did it, but everyone is definitely acting weird. Release wanted to see Carver is weird. She got feelings for him. And to check out Willie, he had a strange hum in his old shack. I should ask someone at the hydro station about his power setup. Twins say Willie's being weird. Shirley said Willie had been bothering her for bottles. Twins begged me to get them porn from Red. Counties, Willie. Monday. Oh, that's it. Okay. The words began to bleed together. Salt and oil seeped into my eyes, blurring it all to black smudges. I'd saved my detecting for tomorrow. I put away my journal and curled up in bed, my mask tight on my face. I shut my eyes. My mind swirled to bitter images of guts and blood of blackness. Ooh. My eyes adjusted to the dark. I knew I was asleep at the time, but it was a distant knowing. A speck on the horizon in the back of my brain. Before me, shimmering and distorted, was a face. Haggard, sunken, buzz cut, short as anything. It was my face. I was staring at my own face. I tried to focus on it. I tried to smooth it out. Heat built up in my head, pressure crawling along the inside of my skull. The more I tried to focus to make that face look more like me, the more the pressure built. And built. And built. And then I exploded. Whoa. Light burst across my face. Flames swept up and over me into a black sky. The reflection rippling over the surface of dark water. It was so bright it hurt. Strange to feel pain in a dream. Something was watching me. Something just over my shoulder. But I couldn't turn. I couldn't move my head. The heat was too much. It was too hot. Too hot. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't breathe. Bro, making my asthma flare up. Knock that off. I wanted to wake up. I wanted to breathe. I hate those dreams where you need to wake up but you can't wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. I'm the robot chicken. Alarm. Okay, here we go. Thank you. I shot awake, my heart pounded, my muscles sluggish. Something was wrong. My eyes were bleary, cool air washed over my face, catching the sweat trickling over my brow. It wasn't a good cold, not even after that heat in the dream. It was too cold, it was too bare. My mask was off. Had I taken it off? Had I clawed it off in the heat of the nightmare? I didn't have time to answer that question. The light bulb above my bed had gone out, the candle had burned down. I was exposed, vulnerable to the dark. Oh. And I wasn't alone. Ooh. Thank you for playing Runt. Who left the message? Who can you trust? And who will you be when everyone is done with you? See you in 2026. Love, Grim Taste. My throat is killing me. I'm amazed I have any voice left at all. But that was really good. Anything? Oh, that's it. Okay.